Curious about selling websites? I recently sold my blog for thousands of dollars, and in this video, I'm going to share with you what I learned throughout my journey, as well as what you need to know about selling websites. My name is Kamila Gornia. I am a digital marketing strategist for modern entrepreneurs who want to get seen and get paid doing what they do best online. And I'm all about impactful marketing strategies for businesses with heart behind their hustle. My previous business was a healthy living blog. It was called Sensual Appeal, and it was all about mindfulness and delicious food, recipes, and just overall wellness. I loved that blog. I started it as a personal journey into my own health and getting better at photography too, food photography, that kind of thing. So since I first started it, I really was able to learn a lot about what it takes to grow a blog. I also managed to grow it to 50,000 monthly readers, as well as generating 5 figures on an annual basis. So it was pretty cool. So you might be thinking, Kamila, if it was so successful, why did you even want to sell it? So here's the thing. I love the blog. I was very proud of the fruits of my labor. However, I really started to realize that I needed to focus on one thing at a time in order to be the success that I needed it to be. So for me, that was marketing. The blog, my favorite thing about the blog was marketing it. The blog opened a lot of doors for me, both in the agency side as well as in contact with brands. So it was a great experience. However, I just started to lose a little bit of that passion that I initially had. I outlined pretty much my whole story in the blog, so you can check it out and read it on my website, kamilagornia.com/blog. So first of all, should you sell your website to somebody directly, or should you put it on auction? So I had experiences kind of with both. When I first even started to think about the idea of selling my website, I actually was approached by a multi-millionaire entrepreneur in the same industry, health and wellness, and he asked me if he can buy the blog for me. This is before I even was ready to sell it. This is before I even thought I could actually sell my blog. Because he was so interested, I said no, because I was like, hey, no, you know what? You can tell that it's valuable. Yes, there's a lot of traffic there on a monthly basis. If I'm getting 100,000 visits every month, I'm gonna try to figure it. I'm gonna try to milk it for some more profit. However, my passion has not rekindled, and after talking to him and after trying to figure it out, I still, I spent some time and I was like, you know what? I just can't. I can't do this because this is a distraction from what I truly feel like I'm meant to be doing, which is helping other people with their marketing. So I reached back out to that guy and I asked him if he would like to buy it. Long story short, he didn't end up buying it. He was a little bit flaky. So whatever. There was another guy that actually approached me as soon as I put my website up on auction on Flippa.com. Flippa.com is basically an auction site where you can bid on different websites and domain names if you want to, that's what you want to do if you want to flip them. So I first put my website on there, and I go into this in more detail on my blog, and I put my site on there, and then somebody reached out to me again saying, hey, your site looks really awesome. I would love to be potentially a buyer. So I told him a little bit more information. I gave him all the stuff that he needed to know. And then eventually he got back to me saying, my investors, they're not interested because they think that you're too attached to the site. I'm like, all right, whatever. There's a lot that went down. I finally was able to sell my blog on Flippa, on auction. Well, actually, not fully on auction. There were a bunch of bidders that started bidding on the site and saying yeah, I'm interested. However, the bids weren't that high. It was kind of disappointing, especially since the first time I put it up, I was getting better bids and I stopped it because the second direct buyer was like, hey, you need to take this website off the auction because I want to be the only one that's talking to you about this. So I was like, okay, fine. He seems legit. Didn't work out, so I had to put it back on auction on Flippa, and then I started getting bids again, but those bids weren't even as good as the first time, so I was really discouraged. And after a couple of days, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna cut this auction. I'm just gonna give this blog either to my mom, or I'm gonna try to figure it out. Maybe I'm gonna hire a couple people to work on this site because I personally can't do it. But if I'm not also gonna sell it for just $1,000, so it's it doesn't make any sense. Finally, I sent a message to all the bidders, and I was like, hey guys, if you guys want to give me a last minute offer, I am willing to take your offers. Here's my top one. I gave them what I was willing to accept. I got a couple of counter offers, really low. I was like, oh, you guys suck. But then finally I got an offer from somebody that was kind of sort of where I was thinking, but not really. So we were basically going back and forth, and finally we settled on the price that was good for both of us. So I was like, Yay, good. So I finally, I gave the site to him. Thankfully, he's already done it before, so he went in my back end and he started transferring all these different things, and I gave him all the access to all my accounts on social media and the blogger networks and the ad networks and all that type of stuff. And so then after about 2 days, he got a hold of it. The escrow was complete and the escrow was released to me, and I was a couple $1,000s richer and without a blog. So what I wanted to do now is I wanted to give you a couple of things that I learned throughout this crazy journey of trying to sell on my blog. So number one, your bounce rate matters. If you don't know what a bounce rate is basically if you have Google Analytics installed on your website, you can see one of the statistics on there is bounce rate. What this means is what percentage of people are coming onto your website and bouncing off right away. So they're leaving the site right away. The higher the bounce rate, the worse your engagement on your site. The lower the bounce rate, the more people are sticking around and browsing through your site and reading your content. So lower percentage of the bounce rate is better. My site had a sort of high bounce rate because there's a lot of content. A lot of the people are coming from Pinterest, and typically the way Pinterest people behave on a site, they come, they check out what they want to see, and then they leave. That's typically what happens, especially with recipes and food and health and things like that, because that was the niche of my blog. So my bounce rate was kind of sort of high. It was like 85% or 89% or something like that. It was pretty high. So that was a concern to a lot of people. Number two is your revenue sources matter. What I mean by that is when you have a blog or you have a website, there's probably a lot of different revenue sources that are coming in, right? So maybe you have your ad networks, maybe you have Google AdSense, maybe you have sponsored posts and brands that you're working with. Maybe there's something else that you're also generating money from. Maybe you have courses that you're selling, ebooks that you're selling. There's a lot of potential streams of income that are still related to your blog that make sense. And it's really, really important that you have everything listed out on a spreadsheet of some kind, or some kind of, if you use Xero or some kind of accounting system that makes sure that you track all of the revenue sources, as well as really making it clear how much you're earning from each of these sources as well. This is going to make it easier for you during tax time, but then also for the potential buyers, they want to see how much money you're actually earning from each of the sources. So then when it comes time for them to take over, they know how much time they need to invest in these different areas, as well as how much time of upkeep it's going to take for them to continue making that same amount of money, if not more, from those same sources. Number three is your level of personal attachment. If you're very, very attached to your site or your blog, for example, if it's very clear that you're the author, your picture is everywhere, you're talking about yourself as me, I was talking about myself as Cami, like signing my blogs as Cami. There's, Cami says this, Cami says that. That shows to people that there is a lot of personal attachment to the blog. If there's a better name for this, I don't know what it is, so whatever. So that was a big concern for people, because if someone else is going to buy the blog from me, they're thinking like, well, I can't pretend that I'm Cami. How are people going to stay on my site? How are they going to stay engaged if all of a sudden some other person shows up and they're the owner, they're the one that's writing the blog post? Am I going to lose followers? Am I going to lose my audience? And that's obviously a big issue if a lot of your money is coming from AdSense or some other ad networks, or just in general from the audience that you're generating, which typically for a blog, that is the case. And number four, how much you provide as a bonus to that domain and that website also matters. What I mean is, are you actually giving that buyer your social media access, your email list, the photography that you have on your site, the different, I don't even know, there's a lot of things that you could potentially have, an ebook if you're selling an ebook, a course if you're selling a course. Are all of these things together bundled up and then given to that buyer versus them just buying a domain name and getting that website and that's it? So it's really important that the more you can give them as a bonus, the better. If I had a couple thousand followers on Facebook, a couple thousand followers on Twitter, a couple thousand email subscribers, that drives up the potential value of that blog as a whole. So, the overall, how many people you get on your site, how many monthly visitors you get, how many page views you get every month, obviously that really matters, as well as the bounce rate, but they really care about how big your following is and if they can acquire it as well. Number five is, how much money are you actually investing in order to continue getting the revenue that you're earning, as well as the traffic that you're getting currently. So for me, thankfully, I was spending zero money on ads. I think I have in the 3 years that I've had the blog, over 3 years that I've had the blog, I think I've spent a total of $100 on advertising. And it was during a telesummit, I think a giveaway. And that was it. I haven't spent any more money on ads. So that's very helpful for people too, because if they see the revenue that I'm making from the blog, the first thing they're probably thinking is, okay, but how much does she actually have to spend to get that money? So it's going to be really important, is like that, what is the actual ROI? Well, for me, it was pure, it's basically all you're investing is your energy and time. That's it. I was spending zero money on any sort of advertising. So that was obviously really good, and that was definitely a big selling point for people too. So I hope this is helpful. If you are interested in more marketing and business tips and advice, definitely follow my channel and follow me on my blog. You can go to my blog and my website at kamilagornia.com/blog is my blog. And I would love to talk to you if you're interested in a digital marketing strategy or having my team help you with your digital marketing strategy and social media and email marketing. Definitely reach out to me too. We would love to help you out. See you soon.